So you want to know about the duct tape deathmatch, do you? But first, why should you care about an imaginary race on a Japanese anime show made in the 90s? Well, for two reasons. One, it's real. Even the Drift King has done it before. I'll put the video link below. Number two, learning about this technique and understanding the ideas behind it will make you faster. A lot faster. The book, The Ultimate Speed Secrets, page 16 says this: the less you turn the steering wheel, the faster you will go. Alright guys, so first in researching this video, I realized that there are a lot of different techniques at play, and they have massive implications. So this is going to be part 1 of 6 videos to outline how to improve these techniques. As you can see here, these are the ideas, the themes for the 6 videos coming up. This first video we're going to be discussing his takumis base technique using his center of balance with the water cup training and the 4-wheel drift. So just take a look at the videos coming up. We're going to be dealing with the duct tape deathmatch in video number 2. Number 3 is going to be about God Hand Joshima. Number 4 is how to use his ghost lines that he's using. 5th is the true meaning of the one-hand steering. And the 6th video will be the fall of God Arm Joshima. These will be coming up, so stay tuned. So this first video has to do about Takumi's technique. How he's using 2 different techniques. The center of balance he's mastered, and the H6, and also the 4-wheel drift. Now his personality is called the natural. He's born with pure natural skill. He's born with talent. That flair and skill that makes up their speed comes so easily, and that's what this natural has. Now in the very first few episodes of Initial D, we find Takumi using a training technique of using water in a cup. Now his father Bunta actually has, from what I can see, actually has 3 different levels of training for his son. One, he puts a little bit of water in, as alluded here, and then he actually puts more water in, and there's even a point where he actually disappears the water altogether. He doesn't use that in the equation when he's actually doing a race. So there's 3 different levels of training that his father is using for him. This is important to know because other people have alluded that using the water in a cup is a weakness, that it holds them back. So there's actually time to use the water and actually time not to use the water. That's very important to understand. Now, in doing research for this, I found out something very interesting. Other people have actually used this water training, and not just for racing cars. Forklift operators use this. Truck drivers, which have tanker endorsements, actually use this. Crane operators do the same exact thing. I found a couple videos below, which I'll put the links below. Skip Barber has a training for this. There's even a Jackie Stewart video about how a ball in a bowl that does the same exact type of thing. So what does this technique actually do with using the water? Well, it forces you to refine your technique. Every movement has to be very smooth. In just a couple of seconds, I'm going to show you some slides to actually show the different techniques that are at play, specifically dealing with rolling the water in his inertial drift. Alright, in the very beginning, Takumi does an inertial drift, and these slides are basically to show you the weight transfers that are acting out here. So here you have water that's totally at rest. Now when your person does a full throttle, your full grip is going to be toward the back. As you can see, this little ball right here is going to be toward the back side. That's where your weight's going to be going. And the water, of course, is going to be sliding toward the back. Now here you have a right turn. He's turning to the right, and all the grip is going to be going to the left side of the car. And this is, as he's accelerating, the back starts to slide out. And the water, of course, is sliding to the left. Now this is an interesting part. So first what he does is he lets off the throttle. Now the weight, as he just let off, he's not accelerating anymore, the weight goes toward the front. Now he has more steering grip. And what this does is it stores all the energy into the suspension, and the weight transfers forward. Next part is the pendulum effect. Now the weight just transferred all the way to the other side of the car. It expends the energy that's there. And now you have more grip on the tires on the right side of the car. Now training like this, it teaches you balance, smooth weight transitions. It teaches you control, refinement. It smooths out the rough edges of your technique, and it helps you control over the center of balance. So this is very, very important for you guys to do. Just take a look at the water. He's rolling the water over the edge of the cup. That's what this means. That's what this training will help you to do. Okay, so what do you do if you do not have any water with you? Now there's actually ways to train with this without actually using a water cup. For instance, if you don't have water or a bowl with a ball in it, you could be using a puck level, something like this. Or in the Drift Bible, they actually have a G meter with 3 different balls in the center. I know that they actually have apps on your phone you could actually use. Now, however, in Gran Turismo Sport, you can actually use Comfort Hard tires. Now, using the Comfort Hard tires will show any flaw in your technique. Now, when you're practicing this, you're not going to be using, humongous power drifts. You want to be very smooth. That's what you're looking for. It'll show any weakness, any instability in your technique. Now, I'm going to be showing you a video of me using the 8.6 using Comfort Hard tires just to show you how to be smooth using your techniques. It'll show any weakness a person has. Alright guys, so to truly understand the duct tape deathmatch and also the one-handed steer, what's actually happening here, we need to discuss the definition of drifting. Now the most common definition you're going to get is controlled oversteer, which only has to deal with the rear tires. But this totally ignores the drifting that all-wheel drive cars do or front-engine, front-wheel drive cars do. A good definition would be the rear slip angle greater than the front slip angle. Now, the initial D, the term four-wheel drift is used. It's a combination of the understeer and oversteer. Now, doing this research for the terminology four-wheel drift, I found out the racer Tazio Nuvolari. He's an Italian racing driver in the 1930s. This is way before everything else. Now, apparently, he used the four-wheel drift, and also, he apparently used the Takumis blind attack against his rival Achille Varzi. You guys got to look up the articles for this. This is incredible. Now, this is Enzo Ferrari's words himself describing the four-wheel drift. Turn after turn, I discovered a secret. Nuvolari entered the bend earlier than I expected, but he went into the bend in an unusual way. With one movement, he aimed the car at the inside edge, just where the curve started. His foot was flat down, full acceleration. In this way, he put the car into a four-wheel drift, making the most of the thrust of the centrifugal force and keeping on the road with the traction of the driving wheels. Ferrari called Nuvolari the inventor of the all-wheel drift. This was done in the 1930s, way before the Drift King himself. Now, if you look in the Drift Bible by the Drift King, you will find out he actually uses two definitions. One, the show drift. Slide from the entrance to the exit. Now that's where you get the drift competitions from, right? And then he uses the fast drift. Listen to the definition for this one. Minimal tail sliding. Minimal counter steering done at high speed. Does that sound familiar to you guys? That's the basis of the duct tape deathmatch. That's where it is, the fast drift. Minimal tail sliding, minimal counter steering. This will help you understand what is actually happening with the duct tape deathmatch, and also later on the full extension of it, the one-handed steer. Alright guys, now this is the very beginning of Takumi's technique, but can you see his weakness? Ryosuke sees it. In the battle versus the 8.6 versus the R32, Takumi definitely shows his weakness. And the same, it's funny how the same battle, the 8.6 versus 8.6 with Shinji versus Takumi, the same weakness shows up. Now in this very beginning, Takumi, he has a couple of different weaknesses. He relies on wide turns, and he only has one line to get that speed. Now Takumi says it's in his own words, he explains the weakness. Duct tape deathmatch has changed Takumi, and it can change you too. The next video is going to explain some of the techniques used in the duct tape deathmatch and how you can actually use it too.